What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you. I hope that you are enjoying your morning. It's pretty cloudy and raining here in Michigan, but I love it when it's like that because I'm like, yes, give my plants that water. You know, I've been thinking about all the fervor, all the distractions, because, a lot of the stuff that's in the media to me, and I think of it as just distraction, right? From like bigger things. And those bigger things are typically the spiritual things. But in these distractions, you can see kind of the world that we live in, how it's playing out, right? And so when people say that we live in Satan's world, um, I don't think a lot of people really understand what that means, right? When you look in the Bible, Jesus was fasting in the wilderness for 40 days. And Satan came to him when he was hungry, right? He's probably hot, right? And he's like, hey, here's something to eat. Well, obviously, he's fasting, right? He was like, I'll give you something to eat if you just bow down and worship me. Jesus was like, no, I'm going somewhere. Then he offered him, you know, all the kingdoms of the world, right? Now, how could Satan offer Jesus, earthly Jesus, the kingdoms of the world if he did not control them, right? We got to read in between the lines of these things. It was beyond just Satan trying to make offerings to Jesus for worship. When he was fasting, he was in a state of weakness. Obviously, fasting, you're not eating and drinking like you normally do, right? You're disciplining yourself because man cannot live on bread alone, right? Spiritual substance is always needed. And when you are in a state of weakness, that is when your reliance on God is supposed to be the strongest, right? But here comes Satan, right? Offering Jesus all these things during this moment of weakness, right? And this is important because Satan comes to us when we are down, when we are weak, when we are desperate, right? When we're in a state of scarcity, he comes to us, making offerings to us that seem very, very attractive, right? But they sink us into his world in various different ways. And a lot of times, those offerings come with much sacrifice, personal sacrifice, sacrifice of others in many different ways. So when we look at Diddy and we look at a lot of these people in the entertainment industry, there's a reoccurring theme for a lot of these people, right? Because a lot of people think that money buys happiness, and clearly it doesn't. Because even with having a lot of money, it doesn't make you a better character or person, right? And Diddy is showing us that, right? This brother likely didn't have as much as he was able to build himself into having, right? But he allowed that fame and that money to go to his head, right? And it turned him into a person that was an oppressor, right? An oppressive type of person, right? There's a lot of people, they get money and they're like, I'm going to live the simple kind of life, right? I don't need to be flashy. I don't need to keep up with this person. I'm going to keep up with me and my own bills, right? Some other people, especially when they get in that fame life, they keep chasing fame. They keep chasing fame, and the fame eats them up because at the end of the day, they're not buying into anything that really glorifies, you know, a being that's beyond themselves, right? And I've been on this Tia and Tamara thing lately because I think they are the best example of somebody who wants to do things God's way and a person who is chasing after Satan's world. Tamara Mori is chasing after Satan's world, and Satan is giving her her penance each and every step of the way, right? With every opportunity she gets, she's getting another devastating blow to who she is. And, it's interesting, but, when you choose the devil, the devil, and you are somebody who can be leveraged by the devil, and you prove yourself to be a leverageable asset, he's going to enrich you. He's going to make you feel a sense of power. But the minute you feel like you are even above him, right? That is when he's going to start using all of his minions that were probably once rolling with you to take you down, right? And people are always like, you shouldn't victim shame. I'm not victim shaming, but in this world, it's always careful what you wish for, careful what you desire, careful what you want. Because some of these people are out here sacrificing their lives. And then when they're getting the recourse, now they're trying to play victim. And a lot of these people are straight victims of themselves, right? And so, and, even with, Boosie came out, he's getting a lot of backlash, right? Because he's like, I don't understand why Diddy is getting a fall for freak offs, right? Right? But Diddy supposedly was doing more than that. Like, this man was drugging people, supposedly forcing people, manipulating people. And all of those things to me, are really still the subjective of the other person's will, right? Because people, just like people knew about the Epstein parties and how Epstein rocked in those close circles, a lot of those people knew how Diddy rolled. They knew how Diddy rolled, right? And because he was who he was, a billionaire black man, he was Diddy, they wanted to be seen with him, near him. They wanted to be at his parties, right? They knew his parties was wild, but they were still there. And a lot of that is, again, I think the music industry started to see that, artists could become bigger than them, right? And a lot of these artists were so smart, they built their reputation, their credibility, and they needed something that they could leverage against these artists to tear them down, emasculate them, or do whatever, so that if they decided not to play ball, they'll just expose them doing this anti-masculine thing, right? Some of these dudes were so desperate for money that they were willing to do anything for it. Like, they're like, okay, I'm going to let this man emasculate me for however long he emasculate me, and then I'm going to get a $20 million deal. And now a lot of these men are trying to clean up the shame of going along to get along for fame, and they allowed a brother like Diddy to convince them to emasculate themselves. You think about that. Diddy has, to me, this is beyond what we are seeing here. You know what I mean? Because there's been a direct effort to emasculate men in America, but specifically black men. Specifically black men. Give them that image and normalization of emasculating themselves for a gain. So he was literally serving as a madam emasculator of black men in so many ways. How many white men do we see on these Diddy tapes of Diddy just going to town emasculating white looking men? I didn't look at these tapes. I don't want to look at these tapes. But if somebody can let me know, do you see a whole lot of non-black men in these tapes? Or is it just a bunch of black men? Like, here's the thing. Diddy is experiencing the fall of his evilness. And I don't feel sorry for that man at all. Right? I don't ally with the people that are doing it. But I don't feel sorry that it's happening to this man. Because he's evil and he chose the devil. And we got to stop feeling sorry for people who have literally chose the devil. We pray that when he's, if they, whatever they decide to do to that brother, he better try to get to some level of repentance. And that means acknowledging everything that you did wrong, including choosing Satan, because that's exactly what that man did. He chose Satan. He chose Satan. And, I think this is a revelation by itself because, you have the music industry that is absolutely collapsing. It's collapsing. And to be honest with you, Diddy is useless at this point. People like Diddy are kind of useless in the music industry at this point because none of these artists are selling. None of these people they are propping are making hits. So you got labels like Atlantic who's been just laying off since the summer. So I don't think that Diddy is a useful token anymore. And so, with that, he's probably been way cocky to the wrong type of people. And they're just like, take this. And he's talking against the Democrats. And he's talking against the Democrats. He was very much tied into the Democratic political space. So for him to get on the mic in 2020 and tell black people to vote in the interest of something material, make them earn your vote, he was talking on the wrong points because he know the Democrats ain't gonna do nothing for black folks. They gonna talk about doing stuff for black folks, but they're not, right? And so he was calling it out. Wrong thing to do. They went after that brother big, just like Bill Cosby. I still don't understand why Bill Cosby got locked up, right? I feel like the statutes of limitations are a suggestion. I really do, because some of that stuff was really old. And when you look at the circumstances of it, it's like so many men would be in jail. A woman just say, oh, he drugged me. It's like, did he drug you like he stuck a needle in you? He forced you to take something? Or did he say, hey, you know what this drug is. Do you want something to relax? Because we about to screw. Like, these groupies know what it is. And I agree with Bootsy. Some of these people talking about human trafficking. You got on a damn plane to fly out with your friends to go to this Diddy party. And no, you should expect that you would be safe. But come on now. Music industry parties are not safe. They're not safe. They've never really been safe. And the more exclusive you go with music industry parties, and you can ask anybody that's been associated with it, the more you have to proceed with caution. Because a lot of people already know that people like Diddy existed, where you got to watch what party you go to, because there's people in this industry who are gatekeeping and they're collecting collateral on people all the time. All the time. So Diddy made his bed. Now we got to lie in it. But, hey, Tariq Nasheed is on the mic, and he's talking about why Janet Jackson may not be Team Kamala. And I guess back during the time that Michael Jackson had those allegations and the boys was accusing him of the evil file stuff, well, Kamala Harris was one of those prosecutors out there, and apparently she was talking against Michael Jackson and in favor of the prosecution. So there's a history there. Janet not just coming out of nowhere saying that. It's like, but shit, for the record, she's not black. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.